Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining today. My name is Gina Fulton and I am the Marketing Coordinator at Estimating EDGE. Today, Scott Ferguson, our Regional Sales Manager, will be going over the 2022 recap, most requested features for the EDGE Estimator. Before we get started, we have a couple of housekeeping items. All lines have been muted, but if you have any questions, please enter them in the questions window on your toolbar. We will get to them at the end. After the webinar, I will send you an email that has a recorded link. The recording will also be available to watch on demand on our website. Thank you for joining. Scott, let's get started.
Thank you, Gina. Thanks for everyone for taking the time to learn a little bit more about the EDGE today. Those of you that are familiar with the EDGE, you already know the major attributes that make it such a powerful platform for estimating. One is it's a cloud-based system. So you can access your jobs and estimating database from anywhere, as long as you have internet access, which gives you a tremendous amount of flexibility from how, when, and where you choose to estimate. Secondly, it already comes pre-built right out of the box with the database that's built specifically for each trade. You just pick the products and the type of system you want to estimate, then you can complete the takeoff, the estimate, and have reporting functions all in one program, which thereby streamlines your entire estimating process. What you may not be aware of, though, is that the EDGE is not a static program. We work tirelessly every quarter to add new features and functions directly into the EDGE itself to make it even a more powerful estimating system than it already is. So I'm going to demonstrate a few of those here today. A number of them come directly from our customers. We know estimating, we've been doing it for 35 plus years now, but nobody knows it better than you. So some of the new features and functions you'll see today came directly, the genesis was from our current customer base. So the first thing I want to show you is our portal, administrative portal. Now, much like a number of tools and features in the EDGE, there's more than one way to access it. The first way is if you're in an EDGE license itself, as you can see here, I'm on the bid tree. If I go up to the upper right-hand corner and select this gear shift, it says portal, it's going to take me out to the portal away from the EDGE itself. So there's a number, this is where you can control your roles, your licenses, and your data within your database. So it's a pretty powerful tool. To do that, if I select this administration drop-down arrow here, the number of items I can click on. So if I select Users Manager, for example, it's going to take me out to this. And as you can see, the number of people that are on the EDGE here, their status active if they need to update anything. For example, here Caleb's password probably expired, and you see the roles that they're allowed to access within the EDGE itself. So move forward from there to the License Manager. This is going to give you a snapshot of who's on the EDGE currently and the type of licenses you have. Manual, review, or full standard. As you can see, I'm active. And you can also see if you have any reserves for specific estimators within your company. You can also move to the roles. This is where you're going to control your data within your database, which is extremely important. For example, if you hire a junior estimator and you don't want he or she to make changes to it as far as pricing, production rates, quantities, you can come into permissions here and just simply toggle on or off, which is very important to keep your database clean and control who can change what within it. So if I move forward from there, under my database here, there's a number of different things you can access as change orders and vendor quotes, which we're going to get into a little bit later. I'll demonstrate to you how that works for the portal as well, and your dashboard. So if I click on that, you can see this information pop up. And as I mentioned at the outset, there's a couple different ways to access the portal. One is when I showed you, be on an EDGE license itself, or you can just simply go into this URL here with a user ID and password. And the good thing about that is you can do it from your phone if you choose to. And just give you a lot of neat information as far as your bid status, newly added, pending, archived. If you move down, you can see the new bids, the previous year, the past couple of years, and by month as well, and the number of bids and who created it. So it gives you a snapshot of what's going on. Here's your online licenses, the users, and the counts, and the devices that the EDGE has been loaded on, all under the dashboard itself. Now the EDGE logo to the right of that, if I click on that, it gives you a couple different options, the bids and reports. Now reports can be accessed, as I'm sure you know, within the EDGE itself, but you can also access it through the portal, through the cloud reporting. So if I select it, going to pop open a number of different reports that you can go directly in. You can choose to edit them, and actually can save them under my reports if you use certain reports more than others. And I can go into any one of these reports to get a snapshot of what I'm wanting to look at. In this case, I think it's a condition detail report. So, and the way you would do that here, if I go back to the portal, I would select the job. If obviously if this is real, I would select it here. Then you would get the reports associated with that specific job. You can also export them out as well here. And then you also have access to other products, Edge on Site, which is production and time tracking, and our alternate takeoff and estimating platform for other trades, Vector. So this is the first thing I wanted to show you. The second thing I wanted to demonstrate to you is project conditions. So if I pop back into the Edge here, now what project conditions is essentially allows you to put all of your conditions on one page at one time, instead of having to do it on multiple pages. So you're eliminating the need to copy and paste conditions. So it greatly expedites the process of completing a takeoff, which of course in turn increases the speed in which you'll complete the actual bid. How do you access that? I'm on my bid tree here. If I go up to options and select it, hit preferences, this dialog box is going to pop open. I'm going to hit program features. And as you can see, there's default to project conditions page. It is not turned on. So I'm simply going to turn it on and save it. Now, each time I go into the Edge, it's going to default automatically to project conditions. So now from here, I just simply move forward like I would normally navigate in the Edge. So I hit the plus button in the upper right-hand corner, simply name it, hit add images. I'm going to pull in a few images directly to the Edge to demonstrate project conditions for you. Pull in these two pages here, go from my bid tree to scenarios, and then to my drawing screen here. I'm going to select all of them and hit manage selected images. At this point, I'm going to create a page for both of them, add in the color, put in the DPI, dots per inch, optimal is 150. And I'm going to pretend that I've already got the scale for both of these. I'm going to hit this drop down box and input a scale. Hit OK, save it, and these two images have now been brought into this particular bid. I'll hit continue. It's going to take me back out to the scenarios that I've created. And then from here, I'm just going to move forward like I would normally. Hit the arrow button. It's going to take me to my sections and then to my pages. Now, this is where things start to change a little bit for you. This is not the normal view that you're used to seeing. As you can see, it's got the PC icon, project conditions. And over here in the upper left-hand corner, I've got the PC icon identifying what I'm on, but here's the drawing screen, the pages screen as well. So if I move back to the project conditions and go into my conditions, I'm going to add a few conditions directly into these drawings. Bring in some partitions, box header, just a few. Obviously, you'd have a lot more in a normal job, but for time and simplicity, we'll just bring in a few here. Bring in these 4 and maybe a ceiling as well. You can always go back and add more conditions if you forget them. And I'll hit add to page. Just the normal navigation through the Edge and adding conditions itself. So I brought in these 5. From here, I can do normal. I can edit them. I'll change this wall type to wall A. I'll leave the condition properties the same, hit OK. Come back out. From here, I'm going to copy and paste and generate a new wall. And this time, I'm going to name it wall B. Maybe change the gauge here, just change a little bit into it. Changes it across on track A and B, as you can see in red as well. Hit OK. Now brought in a second wall. So now I'm going to go to the takeoff page, which is going to be quite a bit different looking than what you're used to. So if I select the little computer terminal in the upper right-hand corner, it's going to now bring you 2 sides of the condition property, or project conditions, excuse me. I've got the pages on the left and the project conditions on the right. So these are the 2 that I brought in, and this is the active screen. So from here, I'm going to choose a drawing. I'll choose the first one. And as you can see, I've already brought in the scale previously, so I can start drawing immediately. So let's say if I measure the wall here, wall A, As you can see on the left now, it's telling me I've got 31.11 linear feet, but on the left here also it's telling me I brought in this condition to this page. And I can go down from here, just a normal process of drawing. We'll add in some information. So we have some data. Some columns. And some ceiling here. But now if I come up to the top here and split this icon on the PC and switch over to my other drawing, I can now start drawing immediately the same conditions without having to copy and paste them. So it's very much a time saver when you're doing it and you're utilizing multiple drawings. Bring in some more information. So if you have multiple drawings, say 5, 6, 7, you had the conditions one time and there's no longer a need to copy and paste. So it's very much a time saver. Allows you to complete the takeoff a lot quicker, therefore increasing the speed in which you complete the entire estimate. So I'm going to get out of this and move back to my conditions. And I want to show you, the next thing I want to show you is going to be change orders. So in order to do change orders, I have to make sure all of my information is complete in the actual bid. So if I go into my material pricing, I need to make sure that all the information is filled out. It's all green. If I move to the labor, here we go. There is a problem here. There's actually missing some information in my labor screen. If I go back to it, there's no production rate. So if I throw a number in there, it should turn green for me. There it is. Go back to my scenarios. There's a couple things you need to know about change orders. One is you can only generate them in the scenario breadcrumb, which I'm in now. Secondly, which I just demonstrated, all the information has to be filled in and has to be green. 3, they reside in the cloud. So your scenario does have to be checked in. So I just simply hit check in, confirm it. Now checking into the cloud this particular scenario. I can move forward from here. Simply copy and insert this. Select all of this, hit copy. And then I'm going to change the name from scenario 2 to change order. And hit save. Now, as I mentioned, in order to do change orders, they have to be checked in. So I need to check this in, confirm it. Then I need to edit this. So I select this pen and paper and select use change orders. So it's important you read this through. By checking this checkbox, you're enabling change order for the scenario. Once enabled, modification to this scenario can only be accomplished through a change order. The settings are irreversible, which I mentioned at the outset. And the EDGE does ask you to confirm it again. I'm going to confirm it and save it. When I do that, you see a new breadcrumb here, change orders. So if I select that, it's now got a new breadcrumb up top here. It now has me the ability to start a new change order. So I select it, and let's say I name it walls or change order 1 and save it. So now it's creating this change order, as you can see right here on the upper left-hand side. It's green, so I know it's good to go. And it gives you some more new information. Here's your base bid information, your current and your change. Notice there's nothing implemented as of yet because we haven't inputted any information. So I'm going to check out this change order, confirm it. It's working behind the scenes. Now I checked it out, as you can see here. So I simply move forward from here, go to my sections, and let's go into my takeoff screen. select, say, partition A, bring it in a drawing, and make some changes to the actual drawing itself. So I'll add a wall A here, maybe one here. And let's add some columns, additional ones. Let's throw it into the drawing. And maybe a new acoustic system. I add this acoustical in. And okay, so I've made changes in 3 different conditions. If I come out of the takeoff screen, it's going to pop me back into the conditions. You notice now all this is green. These are the changes that I've made based on the takeoff I just changed over. So if I move forward from here to my material pricing screen, the $ right here, you're going to see something interesting. That from now, I can only access or make changes to what you see that's highlighted or bold. That's the changes that I've just made. So anything that's over here, I cannot make changes to. This is the base bid. So for example, if I did this base bid 6 months ago, obviously prices could have changed. So this now, instead of this is 3,000, could be now 4, and you can change it. But you cannot make changes to any of the base bids. If I move over to the labor, the same thing applies. I can only make changes to the bold information. I cannot make changes to the rest of it. So I can change the production rates or whatever I need to. And if I move to the recap, notice over here on the right, I've got read-only, drywall, and acoustical here at the bottom. So I can't make changes to any of those as far as my markups are concerned. But if I move into the acoustical, which is part of the change order, I can move in and change any one of these tax rates, labor burden, or whatever I need to. So if I wanted to add a tax, I can certainly do it right here. Just can't go in and change any of the original base bid information. So now I've updated it here. So if I move back to my change order, scenario 2, breadcrumb, and click on it, now you'll see a difference here. You've got the before, the current, and here's the change on the right-hand side too. So I need to check it in as well. It can take a few seconds depending on your current speed on the internet, but it does use more additional information over here on the right, as far as your change order number, your walls, and you can also access the change order report right here on this icon or on the report icon right here. So I'm still not done though. In order to make this official and definitive, I have to accept the change order, which is done right here on the left or right, accept or decline. I also have the ability, before I accept it, to start a new change order and go through the same process I just outlined. So no matter, you have the GC that has a number of different change orders, you can complete them all within the EDGE itself. It's quite easy to do. And I just hit accept, confirm it. Now the EDGE will work through updating the entire bid based on the change order I just completed for those walls. And once it's green up here and it's accepted, you've now completed your change order. So another feature I did want to show you too is going to be what we call vendor quotes, which is simply a great way to streamline your pricing electronically. So if I go into a new quote, new bid here on the roofing side of things and select the material pricing screen, click on that. If I come up here, there's an icon. If I hover over, it says vendor quotes. So if I wanted to get an updated pricing from a vendor or a number of different vendors, I simply select the items. I could select all of them if I choose to, or just a few. For example, this grout and pipe boot and the sealant. Come up here, select vendor quote. That's going to take me back out to that portal that we looked at earlier. So this is set up where you've got these fictitious supply companies. So if I wanted to select one, for example, Scott Supplies, and then do a expiration date for the bid, I can come in here and do that, select it. Here's the 3 items, the quantity associated with it. And I can also write a reference number and note it if I choose to, and hit send. It's going to give you some information. I want you to confirm it. So I'll hit send again. So I'm taking this and sending it out to my vendor at Scott Supplies. This is going to come over on my email showing it. This is what the actual vendor would receive. So this is very easy to set up. You also have the option 2 of if I want to select the lowest price, I can do that as well. I'm waiting for the email to come in. Here it is right here. So if I open it, as you can see, Scott Ferguson from Dave Roofing has requested a vendor quote for the following items below. Here's the 3 items in question. Now, all the vendor has to do at this point is go to this link. I'm going to click on that. Take me out to another URL. I'm going to confirm email, which in this case is going to be mine. I'm going to confirm it. I got to give an expiration date. Do the same date. And I'll throw in the new pricing as I am the vendor. You do have the option too of inputting notes. So if, for example, this change from tube to gallons, you can put that input in there if you choose to. You don't have to move forward, and hit submit prices. So now this is going to flow from the vendor back to the roofing company or the drywall company, whatever trade you're in, and into your email notifying you. Here it is. It's come over pretty instantaneously. If I click on it, you submitted a quote to confirm the Roofing Club the following items below. So here's 3 items below and the prices associated with it. Now, what would happen next if I go back into the Edge? I would come up here. I would get a notification alerting me that I've just got an email from the vendor with the new pricing for that particular job and the items I've selected. Now, it's not instantaneous. Once the email is sent from the vendor, it usually takes about 5 minutes to receive it. So I set this up prior. So if I selected this, it's going to pull in that information based on what I did previously from the vendor quote. So if I had selected previous or numerous vendors, I could choose lowest price if I wanted to and apply it on there, and it would update that pricing automatically. So if I choose to, it's just Scott Supplies. I could hit apply. It's now going to take those 3 items and update it. Usually takes a few minutes for it to update. Now, please note that it only updates in the job itself. Once that pricing is updated electronically, it's up to you if you choose to update it in the database itself. You could do that very simply just by selecting it, coming up here, and send the database. So the vendor quote is a very efficient tool, and it streamlines the process of updating pricing for jobs. As you know, pricing fluctuates quite a bit. So you no longer have to use spreadsheets or manually go in and change the pricing. And that can be set up too by calling our training team or tech team, or you can call, chat, or email 5 days a week to get assistance with any of these features I've showed you. The other thing I want to show you real quick, and this came from one of our roofing companies, long-time roofing company, is how to mark sections. As you can see, this job is 3 separate sections. If I wanted to, if I go over to the material pricing screen here, $, this is going to show everything for all 3 of those sections based on the materials. So it's quite expansive. If I didn't want to see that, I can come over here and simply mark the one I want to see, or multiple ones if I chose to. For example, in this case, section 1. Go back to the pricing screen, select it. Now viewing just the information for that section. Now I can go back and turn that off and see all the material for all 3 sections again, or I can just quite simply hit mark section here. Now it's going to populate everything for those 3 sections. And that's true across the board. If I go back, sections, mark this one, move forward to labor. Here's just the labor for that particular section. And the same thing on the recap screen. Just going to give me information based on the sections I've marked, which is a quick, easy trick to see items and labor and recap screens separately if you choose to. So if I unmark it, come back, I now have all the information for my markups for all 3 of those sections. So this is some of the features and functions we incorporated into the Edge on a quarterly basis. So appreciate your time. If you have any questions, we're going to do a question and answer section at this point. Gina?
Yep, a couple questions rolled in. The first one being, when using project conditions in the takeoff screen, can you add new conditions directly from that screen?
Yes, you can actually. If I go over here, this is my normal drawing screen, and select the takeoff screen again. for it to populate and hit conditions. I come up here, now this has changed, this icon here, add conditions. So much like when I showed you the portal, you can access this a number of two ways. One is directly through the takeoff screen here by adding the plus condition sign, go in and add conditions. Let's say, bring in a couple, maybe it's a pitch pan, add selected, add to page. And there it is right there. And I can simply bring it into the edge itself. So it's quite simple. Or if you choose to, you can go back to the conditions breadcrumb and add conditions from that standpoint easier. But it's much more easier and more efficient to do it directly from the takeoff.
Great. And then one more question came in. Do you have the ability to move conditions from one spot to another on the conditions screen?
I think you're referring to navigating in the conditions itself. That's quite simple. It's actually a feature that's not quite used or known about because it's kind of hidden in the upper right-hand corner. So if I highlight any one of these conditions, for example, and this, for example, in this case, it's a pitch pan, I can move it up or down just with these arrows. So it's quite simple to do. You just have to be aware of it. We developed that and put it into the system a couple of years ago.
Great, and that's it. So unless there are any other questions, you guys can reach out to us at marketing@estimatingedge.com, or you can reach out to Scott directly. And I hope everyone has a great holiday.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.